Then in about '05 or '06, the music was getting even heavier. And I asked Win, I said if there was any way to get a piezo in a solid body. And he's like, John, I've got a prototype in my desk drawer. It's a piezo trem. Let's just build a guitar and stick it in there and see if it works. I was like, let's do it. In 1989, I was touring the club circuit in the South, 5, 6, 7 nights a week, 50 weeks a year. And I was broke, and I was playing a lot of guitars that just wouldn't function in the different environments in Florida. Sometimes we were outside, sometimes we were inside, sometimes we were playing till 5 and 6 in the morning in the Miami scene. And I started doing an acoustic solo and started making a living that way on my own. And I started putting out some records, and I couldn't tour a band, so I just started touring acoustically. Got into the mid-90s, and being a single dad and trying to score a record deal, and you're writing, you're doing everything. I ended up in a situation where I had to pay the rent one day, and I had to sell almost everything I had. And the one thing that had the most value, unfortunately, was my 1989 CE. And so I sold it to a friend. I just played acoustic for a long time, and had a couple knock-around things that I would record with. And years later, I got back and I got into a band called Porcupine Tree. When I got into that band, the demands were instantly really heavy, and I had some guitars that were doing okay. And I needed a better piezo system. Live, we really needed to bust in and out of the acoustic tracks into the acoustic electric very quickly. I called Paul Reed Smith, and I got a hold of Win Krozak, and I asked him if he had a bridge system that he could sell me for one of my guitars. And he said, well, we really don't do that. And I said, well, I'm in this band, I'm kind of in a jam. And he said, let me check out the band, I'll call you back. And so he checks out the band online, he calls me back, and he goes, I don't have a pickup system for you, but what if I just helped you out with a couple guitars, and because he knew I couldn't afford them at the time. So he sent me 2 hollow body 2s, and I want to say it kind of saved the gig at that time. Again, Paul Reed Smith saves the gig. Then in about '05 or '06, the music was getting even heavier, and I asked Win, I said if there was any way to get a piezo in a solid body. And he's like, John, I've got a prototype in my desk drawer. It's a piezo trem. Let's just build a guitar and stick it in there and see if it works. I was like, let's do it. And I described what I wanted, the kind of neck I wanted, and the kind of body, style and shape. And I didn't want a lot of lacquer on it, so I got it, a kind of satin finish. And I said I kind of wanted a reddish color. Didn't really make it too distinct. And we were driving through Baltimore at one point. He says, John, your guitar's ready. Why don't you come get it? And they showed up with this. Len was standing there, making adjustments for it, setting it up for me. And then we plugged it in, and it all worked. It was magic, And they put 5708s in it, so it must have been 07, 08 when I got it. And I've been playing this as my #1 guitar for live and recording ever since. So that was a long time ago. What they set up was, if you can see, we have 2 outputs, piezo output and the magnetic output. And we've got a 3-way toggle here. If you put it all the way down, it's all electric. If you put it in the middle, both outputs are working. And then if you flip this up top, only the piezo is working. And what that enabled me to do was to put together a switching system, leave the piezo on, and just switch in and out as I needed it. And one of the things I discovered is it worked really well with a little bit of electric. So sometimes I'd put a little bit of clean electric in with whatever piezo part I was playing. Sometimes I'd put in a little bit of dirty electric with the piezo. And it just created this unique sound that you weren't hearing a lot at that time. And this is a volume knob for the piezo, so if you wanted just a little bit of piezo in, and you could blend in how much piezo you wanted into that whole mix, So this is all the piezo section, and these are just the traditional magnetic side. So this guitar's never had any issues. It's still got the original piezo system that was the prototype in Wynn's drawer all those years ago.